Welcome, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Sips with Spartan. We are very excited that you guys are joining us. We've got a special guest today. I'm Lindsay Davis, CEO of Spartan Invest and Atlas Rental Property here in Birmingham, Alabama. And I'm so excited to welcome Wade Critides with It's Getting Magnetic with Sandy and Wade. So he is in a ton of different ventures. He's an entrepreneur, real estate investor, podcast host. And we're just really, really excited to have him on our episode today and to hear his story and learn more about kind of how he got to this point as a real estate investor. So thank you so much, Wade. I really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, I'm so grateful to be here and have a conversation with you, Lindsay, and I'm looking forward to it.
Well, awesome. Well, just start us out by hey, give us just a 30,000 foot view. What your story? What you start doing? You can go into as much detail as you want, but just tell us a little bit about you.
Perfect. I'll stay high level and kind of maybe tee it up and into future questions in the conversation. But my name's Wade. I'm out here right now in Orange County, California, where I live with my wife, Sandy. We're in Laguna Niguel. And actually, I probably got to start with my wife and I have known each other since birth. It's like a crazy full circle story, but our parents, her dad and my mom, went to high school in Wayland, Massachusetts in the Northeast. They were a few years apart. Her dad went to San Diego State. He said, why would I ever leave Southern California? Bought a house in Orange County. My mom and dad were pregnant with me. They actually moved out to the same town, Laguna Niguel, California. And through like word of mouth, they're like, oh my gosh, Jim Elliott is there. So my wife's dad, Jim, and my mom connected, like, oh my gosh, we went to high school together, and they were pregnant with their first, Sandy, and my parents were pregnant with me. So our moms became best friends, like pregnant moms, best friends. And Sandy and I were born 3 weeks apart. So we were like built in.
Gosh.
Yeah. I always love starting with that because that's like such a part of my story. But we were born 3 weeks apart. We were like built-in baby best friends. But I don't remember living here because when we were like 2 or so, my family moved to the Northeast, to the East Coast, where I grew up, where I was raised. But come full circle, I'm now back in Laguna Niguel, the town that my wife and I were born in, and we bought our first home here and we live here. So crazy full circle story. And that's a whole nother podcast episode, but we've known each other our whole lives. We connected as adults. We grew up family friends, but we connected as adults and totally hit it off, fell in love. The rest is history. And we're expecting our first in November. That's kind of my personal background. But as far as business goes, or career, or just life, I grew up in the Boston area. And I think, like so many, for me, when I defined success early on in my life, I thought, okay, I got to go to school, get good grades, play sports, excel at sports, maybe get a scholarship. But at the end of the day, who's successful? And my definition of success, early on, 18 or in high school, was money, right? It was like, okay, I got to go into business, make money. And when I'm making the money and living in the house, like all will be well, I'll be happy. So, okay, I got to go to business school. That's what I did. And I played football there, and it was amazing. University called Bentley University in Waltham, Massachusetts. And I actually got my master's degree in finance there too. I was like, okay, I'm gonna go into finance. Like that's where the big wigs are doing it, right? And interned on Wall Street, did all the things. And so I went into the working world hungry and driven, like, okay, I'm gonna climb this ladder. I'm gonna make the 6 figures. I'm gonna get to that upper level, and all will be well. I'll be happy. Life will just be easy. And so I put my head down, and that's what I did. And I worked, and I was driven and young, and 5 years in, I got to the point where I was a VP at my finance firm, making the 6 figures, living in the nice apartment downtown, driving the car, all the things. And I was like, this is what I set out to do. But am I fulfilled? Is this like, have I arrived? Is this it? And I found, I was working for someone else. I wasn't one of those people that hated my career or my job, but I realized, like, okay, I'm working for someone else's dream. They kind of have to tell me, when I get to take vacation and all these things. Like I didn't feel like I was the CEO of my life. Like I put in a lot of hours for kind of someone else. And I started to think and redefine success. And I started to look at people and mentors, like who lives a life that I would want to live and what have they done? And I started to see one, they were passionate about what they did. They had more control over time. They were like the CEO of their own life. And a lot of times what I found, they were an entrepreneur, they had started their own business, or they had done things like real estate investment where they had a certain level, they stopped trading time for money and they started to create value in the marketplace or in the world or in the economy or provide people housing, whatever it was. They created value and they just seemed to live a happier, more passionate life. So I was like kind of in this rat race, like, okay, what's next? What do I do? And that was like the first seed planted into, okay, I gotta become an entrepreneur. But that's like the setup to my story.
And that is, thank you for sharing that too, because we hear that a lot, and that like, hey, that is your success. That's what you need to do. You need to go to business school. You need to work your way up the corporate ladder. And that's the only way to get to the six-figure success. And I completely agree with you, because I too was on that same corporate path. Now I didn't make it to a VP. Let's be honest. I did not get that high up the corporate ladder, yet it's still ingrained in us. And it's been very, refreshing to see it a little bit more common for entrepreneurs like yourself to take a step back and like, wait a minute, I'm working 80 hours a week or whatever you were working. And like, hey, I can do more. I want to do more. I want to do different things. You've got the podcast. Tell us a little bit about the podcast that you and Sandy do.
Yeah. So it went from like climbing a ladder to like, I got to build my own ladder. Now, you don't always know what that looks like, but it's really just starts with an idea and Think and Grow Rich. I'm actually looking at it on my desk, one of my favorite books. It's like ideas become things. It starts with an idea. And then once you start to feel it, see it, believe it, envision it, you start to subconsciously and consciously take action towards it. And you start to move towards it. A podcast was actually something that applies right there. Like it was an idea in my brain, but you have all these limiting beliefs, imposter syndrome, right? Like, why would I start a podcast? Like, who would want to listen to me? Like, what would I say? I mean, how would that work? So probably for a year and a half, 2 years, it was just an idea. It just was dormant up in my brain. It was holding real estate in my brain, but I wasn't acting upon it. And I think though, oftentimes, my wife and I started to build businesses, build kind of a brand around ourselves, and which is a lot of times what you do. I mean, brands are everything, right? We're all building brands. You are building a brand, no matter who's out there listening, whether you're an employee, an entrepreneur, you have a podcast, you don't. We're building our brand every day. It's like who we are. It's our personality. And what I've realized in business is people oftentimes buy into the brand before the product. Like if I had a product, the people really buy the brand over the product. And it depends. But for us, we started to build that brand, started to build that influence, I guess, just by doing the do, by being committed, for a few years. And when you're seeking something, oftentimes it's seeking you. So that podcast started to stir up again and bubble up as an idea, like, should we do this? Should we do this? Our now producer of our show, Chase Mitchell with Upstarter Podcast Network, he was like, hey, would you guys be interested in starting a podcast? You seem to have influence, or you're entrepreneurs, you're positive thinkers and all these things. I think you'd be really good at it. And we were like, whoa, we've always wanted to, but our holdup was, I don't want to like edit the podcast and do all the tech side. Like, I just want to hop on the mic, record, and that's it. And he's like, I'll do everything else. You just hop on and record. And I was like, you're the answer. Like, this is it. Okay. This is the sign. And I'm big on like a sign. So it's like, we got to go. So my wife's like, all right, let's launch it next month. And I'm like, next month? What? Isn't there like prep and everything? And so she's like the visionary of our family, where she'll be like, we're doing this. Like, this is when. I don't know how it's going to happen. And then I'm like, okay, how are we going to do this? I got to execute. So we launched a show, Getting Magnetic with Sandy and Wade, and we're both co-hosts, and we go back and forth, and it's on entrepreneurship, mindset, business development, gratitude, a lot of things like personal development, just things that we, have used throughout our life so far to I guess get to where we are. So it's been really fun because we were able to interview you, Lindsay, and connect with a lot of amazing people.
Right. Yeah. That I have had the opportunity to be on your podcast. I mean, and it was great. And I've listened to several episodes, and it's just the topics are, you cover a variety of different topics. And a lot of it too is kind of like what you said is like building your own ladder. Mm-hmm. And that is, very much outside of where you started and stuff. So I love that you're able to kind of talk more and more about that. So in regards to, okay, so, Spartan Invest, I mean, this, we sell turnkey real estate. That's what we do. We're true believers that real estate is a great driver of wealth and independent wealth and financial freedom. So talk to like, how did you shift into real estate? Like, where did you get started? We get that question a lot. It's like, well, yeah, I want to buy real estate. I don't even know where to begin. Mm-hmm. I don't know where to get started. So you're, on the East Coast up the corporate ladder. How did you shift and make that move and focus in on real estate?
Yep. So the first thing was in coming back. Yeah, I was climbing the corporate ladder where you have the 401k. Hopefully you're at least investing in something. So I had the 401k. But I again started to evaluate successful people and people whose lives that I wanted, who had freedom over their life. And I was like, okay, I'm looking at all these corporate, employees that work until they're in their 50s or 60s. They retire on their 401k, which is likely not enough to carry them through retirement. And then their children or someone else has to come in and help them if they live long enough at the end of their life. I'm like, that's just not going to work for me. And especially if it's something where I'm working the next few decades and something I'm not particularly passionate about. Now, I think sometimes I come off like entrepreneurship is it. It's for everyone, but I realize it's not. And if everyone was an entrepreneur, the economy, it just wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. Right, so there's like employees and entrepreneurs are very valuable, and there's ways to, do both. And it depends on the person. For me, I was like, this model is broken. Go to school, get a ton of loans, get my master's degree, get more loans, pay back the loans for 10 years, invest in a 401k, not the most efficient thing with, fees and all the stuff. I started to study wealthy people, Ray Dalio, Tony Robbins, like big investors, all the big investors and the people who I really looked up to as mentors. And I was like, these people aren't 401k, like that stocks and picking stocks. That might be a part of a diversified portfolio, but what do they do? Okay, whoa. A lot of them are investing in their businesses and in real estate. So I started to realize, and one of my best friends is a CPA, and he just flipped the script for me. Like taxes aren't like, oh, I'm getting punished, I got to pay my taxes. The tax code is really a list of incentives that the government puts out. And they say, hey, go start businesses and own property, and you're creating a lot for society. You will pay very little in taxes. That's why Warren Buffett pays very little taxes. He owns a lot of property. He owns businesses. He employs people. He houses people, and he pays very little taxes. So I was like, whoa, okay, I got to own businesses and own real estate. So I started to shift from like 401k mindset into real estate, because I think it's a much better way, personally, I believe, to build wealth over time. I also think it's very tax efficient. There's so many good ways. And I realized the people that I look up to own real estate, and a lot of them own rental real estate, and where someone else is paying their mortgage, they're housing someone, they're gaining any possible appreciation. Someone else is paying down the mortgage. They're hopefully cash flowing every month. So that started to be a thing. So when the pandemic hit, I was able to cash out my 401k without a penalty, because there was actually a waiver, whatever we want to call it. So that was awesome. Boom, took it out. I said, you know what? If I want different in my life, I got to move different. I'm taking out my 401k and I'm going to go set up a whole life insurance policy, basically to have my own bank and invest in real estate. So then it was, I don't know what I'm doing yet in real estate. Why don't I look into this turnkey model? I had become aware just by listening to podcasts, different stuff, had become aware of you guys, of Spartan, looked into you guys, very very good reputation, very great returns for, your clients, and was like, I'm building businesses. I don't have the time to go look at all these deals and do all these things and be an active real estate investor. I love passive income. I think the key to freedom in life is developing multiple passive income streams. So I was like, let's start at Turnkey. I'll learn the process with Spartan, start there, and then go from there. And then, at some point I could try other things, but always knowing like I could just go get another Spartan property. And so that was like this segue into real estate, because you learn the process, the appraisals, the inspections, the property managers, how it all works. And it is just such a well-oiled machine. And it's so great because I'm focused on building, most of my time I'm building businesses. I don't want to focus on fixing toilets or doing all that stuff. So the passive nature of it is absolutely beautiful.
Right. And I'm so happy that you talked about entrepreneurship and how it's not for everyone, because neither is real estate. I talk to investors, I talk to on podcasts, and then on our Sips with Spartan to communicate with our investor base. And it does sound, a lot of times it's like, hey, you can purchase a property and you can get a reduction in taxes and somebody's paying off your asset. And there are just so many pros, and it sounds like it's rainbows and butterflies across the board. And it's not, it really is not. And it's not for everyone. And there are some risks that do come with real estate. So I'm really glad that you brought that up, and that it does depend on the person, and that, hey, look, if this is what you want, if it's not, then that's fine. That's a very, hey, you're gonna do your life, do you, but it is a way for those who are looking for just alternative passive incomes to really kind of get their foot in the door. And I do get the question a lot. It's like, okay, well, how do I get started? How do I look for the property? Being in Southern California, you're just not going to be able to purchase a rental property for what you can purchase in Birmingham, Alabama, just with the capital. So looking into the turnkey model, hey, where can I go from here? And that I'm hands off, because property management is also difficult. It's something that, a lot of people don't want to do. And I completely understand that.
Yeah. And I think there's like, we own 4 rental properties in a varying, single family homes, some commercial. And there's this like idea, like I need to see it. I need to know it. I need to touch it and feel it. Like for me, I've never seen any one of mine. Because I think when you have the right team in place, like it's actually better. Like I actually don't even want to be. And also you're right. Like in Orange County, it's not really it's not impossible, but it's very hard to find a cash flowing rental property. Also, for the price of one property out here, I could probably get 5 or 10 in Birmingham. So it's like leveraging your capital and leveraging your cash flow. It's just the metrics where it makes sense. And like, you don't have to be, I love being an out of state investor.
I'm with you. And, me and my husband also purchased from Spartan and we're customers as well. And hey, we'll buy the property and I don't really want to know about it. As long as everything's fine, I'm fine. I would much rather just not know about it, not deal with it. So, in February of 2022, you are joining us for our Spartan Summit. We're really excited. It's being hosted in Birmingham, Alabama, with also a trip to tour our Huntsville property. So we're very, very excited about that. But your session for the summit is investing fundamentals with the, fun. So tell us more about that. Like give us a little insight on that topic.
I love it. Yeah. Investing fundamentals, and with an emphasis on the fun, right? So we're going to have a lot of fun. And I think what I look to bring into the mix is, because there's going to be really sharp speakers there, and they're like going to probably get into technical aspects of investing and real estate and different things. Where I wanted to come from, I think success in anything really starts in our mindset. Like, so I think Tony Robbins said it, but success is 80% psychology. And so it's really like coming in with the right mindset, because what makes us invest in real estate or holds us back is all in our mind. It's all either I believe in myself and in this, and I can do this, or the limiting beliefs, like what makes me think I can do that? How could I do that? I don't know where to start. I don't know what to do. Oh, there's too many risks. Like, I don't know. So I really want to get into the mindset piece of it to empower people to be like, you know what? I'm going to get clear on why I'm doing this, what I want, and how to just start. I think with anything we do in life, whether it's start a business, start a family or a relationship, start investing in real estate, buy your first property, in anything, we got to know what we want. We have to cast a vision for our life. Like, what is it that we want? And get so specific on it. It's not like, I want to make more money. Here's $1. There, boom, there's more money. It's like, no, I want to make $100,000 more this year, or $1 million. So get specific. You don't go to a restaurant, right, and be like, the server comes over, like, what do you want? And you're like, food sounds good. I'll just take food. No, you're like, no, I want the ribeye, medium rare. I want a glass of Cabernet. I want the mashed potatoes on the side and the roasted vegetables, salt and pepper. Like, you're so specific with it. We'll get the same with your life, with your dreams, with your visions you have for it. What do you want? Where do you want to live? Who is your dream spouse? What does your family look like? What is your rental? What does your real estate portfolio look like? What do you want it to do for you? The more clear and specific we get on our vision, when it's crystal clear, we start to move towards it. When it's vague, we're just kind of setting off or setting sail. Like, I hope I end up on the exotic island. Like, versus when we know where we're going, it's like, all right, here, we're going northwest this way. So it's going to start with like getting clarity around the vision you have for your life. And, being that we'll be at the Spartan Summit, where does real estate come in? Where does real estate investing come into that? And then once we get clear on the vision, why do we want it? Because if you want $1 million, that's cool. Like, you could probably do, that's cool. That's awesome. But why do you want it? What are you going to do with it? Because just money, it's literally just paper, right? What will it do for your life? Is it so you can invest in real estate and live a life of freedom, so you can be with your family and watch your kids grow up, or get out of the job that you don't like and have more freedom over your time? So getting clear on why we want it is the next step. So what we want, then why we want it. And then from there, once we have clarity on our vision and our why is, at first it's like, oh, I want more money. Oh, so I could buy the car, buy the houses, or to buy rental properties. But then why? Like, keep digging deeper. Like, let's dig so deep that's like, whoa, it's truly so I can be home with my family and be a good role model for my children, or whatever your why is. Everyone's is different. And then from there, it's just empowering ourselves to just get started, because people who make a difference in this world are action takers. Successful people we see, they take action. They're willing to fail. They fail way more than the average person because they just get up. It's not failure, right? Unless we quit, unless we just stop doing it. Thomas Edison said, I haven't failed. I've just found 10,000 ways not to create a light bulb, until he did. So it's the same thing. Like, I know if I don't give up on something, on a vision I have, I'm not failing. I'm just following. I'm just learning along the way. The only way I fail is if I quit. So how do I just get started and move towards that dream life, that vision I have, and why I want it? So that's kind of probably, I think, overall, I haven't written it all yet, but that's kind of what I'm thinking.
Man, I'm over here cheesing because I'm really excited about that. I completely agree that mindset is so important, and the failure, just wrapping your head around, hey, it's going to happen. Mm-hmm. We talk about it here. It's like, hey, what if this happens, or what if this fails? Okay, what's the worst that's going to happen? What is the worst that could happen if this messes up, or if you drop the ball on this particular task, right? Nothing. We're just going to fix it and move on. Like, that's just what we're going to do, and it's all going to be okay. Exactly. So the mindset and just coming to terms with the inevitable failure. It is going to happen. You're going to have to get over, you're going to have to move past it and keep rocking on. I'm so excited. I cannot wait to hear you at the summit. So for more information on the Spartan Summit, visit spartaninvest.com, obviously, and there's more information on our Facebook page. One last question for you, Wade, and I want to know, and I'm pretty sure you probably get this a lot, but I think it's still important to talk about investor like you is listening to this, watching this, and thinking, I think I could do that. I think I could pull some money out of my 401k or put aside some money and start investing in real estate. What was like the speed bump or oh gosh, I did not see that coming? What was that for you when you were making that transition? What would they anticipate, or what's something that they might be able to anticipate from your experience?
Right. So for me, there wasn't this abundance of capital where I could just go. I was like, okay, getting the first property is the first start. But then from there, I want to get multiple because I see what this can do. I see the cash flow potential per month, and 1 will be great, but 10 will be way better, and 20 will be better than that. So how do I leverage? The first speed bump I had is in transitioning from a finance high paying W-2. I was actually a lender myself, so I know the lending world very well. Into entrepreneurship, all of a sudden you're self-employed and the banks have like red tape around the global pandemic. And they're like, what is all this income? Like, how can we be certain? So it's harder to get financing as an entrepreneur. And because our business is just coming up on its 3-year mark. So you need 2 solid years of income. You need to show you pay yourself. So the first thing is financing. So again, there's a lot of opportunities when you want something. There's going to be a lot of opportunities to stop or to quit or to be like, I failed. But it's really just testing you. It's God, it's the universe, it's whatever you believe in, testing you. Like, how bad do you want this? Like, let's see. I'm going to put these speed bumps in the way. So for me, I was like, okay, well, I have people in my life that I'm close to that I do business with and are friends of mine. Let's put together an investment firm. They have W-2s and can easily get a property. Why don't we create an investment fund together? We all have different skills. One's a CPA, one's a lawyer. I'm the finance guy. We all have, some liquidity to invest. Let's put together an investment fund. We'll get the mortgage done probably by one of them. We'll put the property into the investment company's name. So basically get creative. At first, it was like hard for me to even get a mortgage because I'm an entrepreneur and I didn't have enough runway yet in my business. And then 2, how do I leverage it? Okay, well, let's all leverage our capital. And then let's start getting creative. It's this amount to get a new property. Where can we get creative? Where can we, leverage? I'm a big believer because I used to work for a credit fund. I know a lot about debt and loans. And I think a good amount of America is scared of debt. Now, credit card debt, not great. Make sure you pay that off every month. But debt attached to an asset, and specifically a cash flowing asset, I would take, if someone said, Wade, I'll give you as much money as you want, blank check, 3% loan, 3% interest. How much do you want? I think a lot of people might be like, I don't know. I don't know if I want to take on debt. I would be like, $1 billion. How much will you give me? 10
That's what I was thinking. I was like,
yeah. Because if I can go, I know I have confidence in myself that I can go invest it and earn more than 3%. When your debt is attached to a cash flowing asset like a rental property, I think it's genius. So then it's like, okay, where can I leverage assets in my life to go invest in cash flowing rental properties? Again, nothing is foolproof, but I thought it was just so smart. So it started, the speed bumps were capital and getting the financing in place. So you find the right partners. There's also a lot of ways, why don't you partner with someone? If someone's looking to invest in real estate and they have capital, but they don't know what to do, and you're like, I know what to do. I'm going to hit up Spartan. Let's go 50-50 on this, or we'll go 20-80. You put up the capital. I'll do everything else. Like, there's so many ways. You just have to get creative. Instead of asking, can I do it? Can I get my first property? Rephrase the question and ask yourself, how can I get the first property? Oh, I have a capital issue. Who do I know? Who can I partner with? Oh, I have a mortgage or financing issue. Who can I partner with? How can I get it done? So those were kind of the first speed bumps for me. And from there, it's just belief in yourself. And once you get the first and you rip the Band-Aid off, you're like, oh, then you create duplicatable systems and you're like, whoa, I'm off to the races. If I can get 2 properties a year, imagine where I'm going to be at 5 years from now. I'll have 10 properties. What's my cash flow going to be? What's my equity going to be? Whoa, could I refinance and take the equity out and go get 10 more properties? Like, what does it all look like? So I think I'm excited because once you really get the ball rolling on the first, it's that snowball effect.
Yeah, no, the first one is definitely the most difficult. And I hate it for those investors who will finally rip the band-aid off and get that first property, and then their first tenant gets evicted or something, then something
Yeah.
happens like that. And I want to say, just stay, if real estate is for you, just stick it out, because it's not that way. It's kind of one of those that it's a risk of real estate. So ripping the band-aid is very difficult, but then also getting past, like, if something, if one of those inevitable risks with real estate, if you're unfortunate enough to have that happen on your first band-aid rip, just stick with it. But I agree in that finding the right team, finding out how to do it is it's just huge in getting started in the turnkey real estate world. For if you guys want to hear for if you guys want to hear more from Wade, his podcast is Getting Magnetic with Sandy and Wade. Check it out. It's great. A lot of different information on there. Wade, thank you so much for joining us. Is there anything else that you want to add before we tell everybody bye?
Yeah, no, it's been a pleasure connecting with you, Lindsay, and the listeners. Thank you. I love connecting with people on Instagram. So my Instagram handle is at Wellness with Wade, or personal website is sandyandwade.com. And it's just been a pleasure. I'm really looking forward to the Spartan Summit in February. I'm bringing a few friends in, some investors as well. So we're going to make a good experience. And I haven't been to Birmingham, so I'm really excited to check it out.
Oh yeah, we're so excited to have you. And for more information on the Spartan Summit and how to get tickets and how to register, SpartanInvest.com. Thanks so much, Wade. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good one.